Kier's head directly opened its mouth to chew him alive. The sound of 7 screams echoed. Then shut up. 2 people in red robes also heard this sound. Nod, it's all started. Move the scene to the grave. It's got 6 coffins at the center. The air everywhere is constantly gathering here. When I saw that, I panicked. Why does it suddenly gather air? At such a fast speed, it's impossible, even the air of the gods. It can't be overpowered. Calmly say out. We've got to stop it, or we're all going to die here tonight. Inside the coffin, a pair of eyes suddenly opened. Tran Hung can feel it now. Kier's heart rate has changed. He was afraid to scream. Come on, stop it. It's waking up. People who hear that are terrified. Look at him. Right now, a coffin above the lid was blown away. Inside the feet of a man. Then there was a tornado. The people looked back. Wait for the storm to blow. There was a white-haired man standing there. This person is the reason. He opened his eyes coldly and looked at the people. Then he glanced at the zombie next to him. He woke up earlier than expected. If we fight, do we have a chance? They are thinking about how to deal with the problem. Suddenly, he disappeared in place. Once again, I don't know. The devil is not behind people, while the people are still amazed. Not knowing where he was going, he opened his mouth. The first question. The people immediately turned their heads. Damn fast. From the beginning, I knew I shouldn't have been involved in this. How many years have it been since the rebellion began? Calm down to 3 senses. A 65 means it's over 185. It's been a long time. Second question. AI has taken control of the country. After the death of my father. Physical etching. The people who heard here were quiet and no one answered. The reason for anger. The dark air never ceases to shine. I don't want to say I understand. It's the right word. I can see that form of him. Then turn your head. Order people ready to fight. The reason is not to stand up right away. In place of exclamation, I built this poor son. He did not help me complete the 1,000-year work. But the son who was fortunate to be given a chance to come back to this world again. I will use the most cruel way, the most direct, to punish the descendants of Cao Sheng and this world. At this time, there is continuous encouragement. Don't back down. There's only one enemy. This is the reason he alone destroyed thousands of enemies. If we don't fight with all our might, then we're going to have to die here. Last question tonight. The high priest treated my family kindly. My uncle is not. Their country. Our reason is not to let you rule. Outside the forest, now in a swarm. The animals are constantly screaming and fleeing. On the east side of the city is no less. The sky was now covered in a layer of dark clouds. The heads are constantly running around. Chase cannibalism. The dwarf looked out the window at the sky. Immediately speak up. The theory of existence has been revived. Han also stood up right now. When I saw him go out, the dwarf asked, "You have completed the spell. Then go to the next step." Finished talking, he pulled out a small statue from his chest. Here's a girl who looks pretty blessed. They immediately put the statue in the center of the battle. He counts the little devil in Tai'an district. We now have 3 statues of evil spirits. It's been sacrificed. Outside right now, the first group of people harassed the city. A disorder that cannot be described. 10 good people standing in the inn, looking out fearfully wondering. Where did those monsters come from? When you hear that, you speak up. Those flying heads. Listen to it. 10 turn around and look. You know them. Of course, they're made by turning the heads of the dead. The devil loves to eat people. Usually move in groups and attack places where there's no protection. I've been wondering why the last few days so many demons are gathering in the West. It turns out that someone's practicing this. 10 good people heard here and interrupted to ask, God, you said this is artificial. Yes, they've just been created. About Monday after you got here. Why didn't you warn us about this? Why do we have to do that? Our contract doesn't say. I have to help you unconditionally. Even if I tell you, there is nothing I can do. The person behind this is not the one. That master, you and the other half-timers can't stop it. The devil in the grave. That's enough to keep them busy. Then, you're going to drag them into this to die sooner. 10 good listening is angry. I want to give it a fight. But before he could say rah, he continued. Instead of being angry with me, why don't you worry about your sister and yourself? You think, how do I get out of the flying heads? Even if you still have a wish. So now we just have to rely on ourselves. Haha on the side of the prism. The fighting situation is extremely tense right now. Tran Hung takes on the role of the boss. He is with good reason. Non-stop exchange of skills. The rest of you are on the support side. See, the situation is not right. King Tong Thi Lang immediately use an air raid to relieve the siege. Just like that, I can't help but ignore Tran Hung. But turn to catch the spirit. After dodging the hauntings, he looked at the visitor. He is standing still in the place of the decision. Oh God, let's embody and protect the four around us. I saw him recite the law. He was immediately sent to fight him. Chen Hung was hit by one of his blows just now. Keep your feet on the ground. I don't know how many meters to stop. Keep your head up. I saw him running towards the guests. Then startled. Be careful, he is coming to you. Guests can't stop practicing. Intense facial tone. Continue to stand there chanting invincible demons. Excited 9 heaven. The enemy is now fighting in front of him. I thought Kier's fist would go straight to his face. Right now, the 2 monks and Guo appeared from both sides. The 2 of them struggled. It finally stopped the work of the Lai Luke. It's not so bad. This guy came back a little early. So there's a lot of weakness in both offense and defense. Don't let your guard down. Half the season is still a monster. Are you finished with the devil? The guests heard him call me that. Anger is screaming. What are you talking about? Poor leader 5 devil Taoist, pull the devil prepared. Follow his scream. There's a lot of power pulling at him. That emits. If you think about it, there's a little bit of a way to retreat. But he was held by 2 monks. Can't go back. It's too late to hide. The passengers are covered in electricity. Just fly up like that. Wait up to the height of no difference. He held out his hand and shouted. 5 lashes of paralysis according to his screams. The electricity immediately gathered. The 2 monks and Guo. It also immediately disappears in place. That place is only left. Reason to be extremely stressed face color. He couldn't escape. He was pulled down from the sky. This blow caused the ground to be broken. There was a huge hole just standing there. Wait until you pull the plug. The crowd rushed to the crater to observe. I have a little breath right now. The volume of air in the hole is decreasing. Maybe we got him. The monk also nodded. Lucky, he's only completed half the level. Not only that, he lost an arm. Or we'd all be dead. People are all sleeping on the victory. without anyone noticing. The casket above right now. There's no stopping the air. Moving to the east A. At this time, the killing of the first flight. It's still very intense. In the inn, Ten Goodness quickly went to call the Deem wake up. Hurry up and don't sleep anymore. She was awakened rubbing her eyes dreamily. What's going on? I'll explain later. We have to get out of here. When he finished, he led her outside. Just came out. I saw a flying head looking in the hallway. You two just went out, and he found something. Turn your head and look. But the 10 best reactions are also very fast. Immediately dragged his sister into the room and gagged her. I was extremely scared to ask. What is it about you? 10 good things that make you silent. The whole town is full of things that eat people. Be quiet, don't he let them see. On the side of the grave, people are still having fun after the battle. Guests standing on one side constantly rubbing their eyes. Strangely enough, who is dead? Why is my right eye still twitching like this? While he accidentally looked up. He also realized now. Inside another coffin. There's air coming out. We're dead. We've been tricked. He turned his head in fear to the screaming crowd. Be careful, the dog is still alive. As soon as he finished speaking, the coffin lid popped out. And then inside a black light comes out. Go straight to the hole. Monk Hugh, face tense up. I thought, why is this guy so weak? Turns out, it's just a matter of time. It's waiting for the right arm to complete the revival process. Quick and loud thunder. Get ready to fight this time for real. Now, sitting down below is enough. His cold eyes said it was too late. Then the sound comes up. When people don't know what to do. The King of Heaven has been accused of a crime. Punched through the chest, he was beaten up by this trick. The fighting strength is only a little bit. The people are now inexplicably terrified. A move to take down a person. The power of this name when fully restored. It's actually on a different level. Quick way to close your hands. Spring wind and rain fall all over. Follow the sound of his mantra. Beneath the truth there is. There were countless Leo Ra cords covering him. Very fast. He was bound up by his wooden handle. Use this trick. It also seems extremely expensive. On his face sweat poured out like rain. The body also keeps trembling. He quickly turned his head in the direction of the monk shouting. Get him out of here. We can't hold it very long. Just finished. Then the reason who broke his wooden padded out. Look at his thong dong. Then this is just a stainless steel mosquito bite. It's absolutely terrifying. It's not that he couldn't stand to collect. It's the enemy breaking his own bonds. The reason for this is not to appear immediately. He slowly moved closer to the crowd. You are also talented. Or be my servant. When the guests heard that, they shouted angrily. Shut your mouth. The reason for not hesitating disappeared in place. Once again, he appeared in front of both of them. Cut through if that's the case. I have just finished talking, but I have not been able to get out. From behind Lao to a foot kicked straight into Tran Hung's chest. You are now red like a ghost. He looked at the two people behind him and said, we won't hold this state for long. Whatever you have, play it all. Even now, my face is a little down. The guests bite their hands again. He painted his face with his blood. Gu Pine also immediately recited the mantra, eternal youth of all things 9. He is now. He had completely transformed himself into a wooden man. The police gave them time to practice. Then you face the logic alone. You two look at each other for a moment. and then disappear in parallel. Non-stop power VA touch. Tran Hung is in this state. They can be reluctant to stop. Survive for a moment. After a couple of shootouts, he got a little unbearable, constantly failing. He is preparing a punch. Fell on Tran Hung. Tran Hung is not in time to avoid. I can only put my hands up. If he does this, he will be injured. Right now, behind the monk's voice echoed. Let me help you. If you can hear this sound, you'll suddenly turn your hand. Turn your head and look. Where did you go back? Then one of Kim Kwang's soldiers knocked him down. Behind the monk, now a giant Buddha has appeared. This is the illusion of Haiken La Han Ca charged Ca fine SA. Tran Hung took this opportunity. He also moved next to him. On the other side of the fence just stood. There was now a giant hand-shaped indentation. This was caused by the monk's last move. It was very quick to jump out of there. Looking at his appearance, he just did. It doesn't hurt how much he does. Chen Hung saw him still thong-dong like that. Then speak up. Let the leader and the 5 demons take it down. We stopped him, and the monk nodded. It's only that way. After that, the 2 men disappeared in place. After a while, he appeared in front of the police. Move the scene to the 10 brothers. Right now, Kier's flying head is still searching outside the hallway. After a while, you stick your head out. From your perspective, right now outside the hallway, there's absolutely nothing. I am glad to turn around and tell you. Fortunately, it's gone, but just finished. An extremely savage laughter echoed in his ears. Outside the door right now, the Kier flying head is staring at the 2 brothers. Look what I found. When he finished, he immediately broke through the door. 10 good things are really out of the way right now. I don't know how. You just stand there, in front of her sister waiting for her head to bite. But when the flying head bit in front of the 2 brothers, then suddenly, there's no way to move. 10 unfathomable goodness, look at it. Then look back at the contest. She's like a flying head right now. Immovable in place. 10 people turned their heads and asked, "You did it, didn't you?" The city immediately replied, "Yes, 10 good." Confirm that it's out of the air. The city speaks again. But in return for my help. There's no need to respond this time. Next time I will only help you. When you get the compensation you deserve, I'll watch this flying head for you. But it can't stay that way for long. You have a minute to prepare. Don't be discouraged by me for not warning you. Move the scene to the grave. You too, Tran Hung is still in the midst of a bitter battle with the... He's constantly launching countless law enforcement attacks. But that, he was able to avoid all his attacks. In an easy way. The fat monk right now, leap out behind the good. Behind him, the image of the devil appears again. This is my captain. Happy Can, the great sadness. If you see that, laugh out loud. The sound on him when it exploded violently. Tran Hung flew away, and then he didn't shy away. He stood there waiting for the monk to come. One of his chefs, directly to the rational person. But I couldn't move him at all. He looked at him smiling coldly. That's all there is to it. Then I hit Ra with a punch and flew away the monk. The flying monk came screaming again. It's not over, asshole. Right now, I don't know if the devil is good. Shoot to the bottom of the truth. The dying king stood up and said it was over. According to his sound. From the bottom of the truth, innumerable rays of dark air rose around him. Next, relentless attacks enveloped him inside. The dust immediately appeared. People don't see the situation very well either. Tran Hung right now, The body also returned to its normal state. His face was tense, and he looked at the rational. The thought was too dangerous. If they don't arrive in time, maybe I had to spend my whole life in fight. Finally, the monk went to the king's side. Ask how it works. The king did not answer, face extremely tense, sweating out like rain. Some trees hit him. But it's strange that, instead of declining, his gas is constantly rising. When the monk heard that, his face dropped. A moment later, the dust scattered the body of the photo. Once again, he is on the way. He's actually been hit by an airlock right now. Even so, he's still standing there proudly. People who see that can't believe it. And look at them laughing. Not bad, not bad. I'm more interested in you now. Chen Hung broke out in a sweat and looked at him. This guy is a monster. The reason is not to act immediately and ask again. You guys, you really don't want to be my servant. 3 people at the moment, although extremely struggling, but still staring at him. He didn't answer. At this very moment, a loud shout opened out. On the ground next to the reason suddenly trembled. And then the giant spears flew up. There is no resistance either. That quickly dodged. Guests in the distance. They don't stop reciting poetry. 5 actions of the opposite. Turn the soil into mud. The water is coming up for me. According to his cry. The surrounding ground immediately turned to mud. The reason is to fight. The brain is currently in the air. Resistance to Leo wire. When he touched his feet. When I got to the ground, I realized there was mud at my feet. Covered in mud. Make him temporary. There's no way to move. That's why Leo quickly came. Very quickly, he was under control. Shout loudly on one side immediately. Press it to the ground. The monk was also screaming at this moment. You don't have to remind the Lord of God's glory. Above the head of filial existence, immediately a bright light appeared. That's a giant boss beating down. Rational existence. There's absolutely no way to move. This one doesn't hurt him too much. But it also achieved its goal. I hit him on the ground before he fell. He gritted his teeth and screamed loudly. This is your self-harm. Don't blame me for not killing anyone. Wait for him to fall to the ground and the mud will melt, turn back into hard soil. They were completely buried alive by the people. The visitor looks at the flat ground in front of him, breathing out. It should be okay this time. As he finished speaking, a powerful explosion exploded. The ground was immediately beaten to shatter the fat monk near. It was immediately taken by reason. Give a punch in the stomach. This move caused him to be directly injured. The next body is like a kite breaking a rope flying backwards. Tourists who look at this situation are horrified. Uttered even the waters of my companion. It's impossible to keep him. Tran Hung, the dark face standing there, did not speak. He turned his head to look at the disciple. Come on, bring the god out here. It's our last hope. We've given it all our strength. But he's not only not weak. On the contrary, the power is constantly increasing. Will not stand a chance after a longer battle. We have to use it all. Move the scene to the castle. The flying head has now recovered. Its bite down continues. But bite into nothingness. He has absolutely no idea what just happened. Constantly looking left and right, looking around. Strangely, those 2 kids are gone. 10 virtues are currently embracing Theo Thi, deemed to flee to the bottom. Master is not here. I am the only one who can protect the city. I will never give up. You run downstairs and suddenly you stop. Because in front of you too, there's another flying head. Waiting there. When I saw the flying head, I was amazed. Well, today is not your lucky day. The 10-year-old sat down and looked upstairs. Now the Kier flying head had also come to the front of the stairs. The two brothers are completely surrounded by the two of them. When Deem panicked pulled the corner of the shirt, 10 good. He immediately turned to reassure her not to be afraid. I will definitely protect you. Then he turned his head to the city. It immediately understands the power projection. Make everything in the room stand out. Again, 10 people are asking now. The price to pay to get my sister out of here safely. Feng Cheng replied, sorry, but we can't do that right now. 10 unintelligible good angry ask at Sao. Because the owner, who cultivated these heads with great skill, not left Eastay. If we do something too much, they'll make us pay. The 10-year-old replied, what can you do? I will plant a seed of hell into your body. It will stimulate you inwardly. It gives you the power to protect yourself. 10 goodness is not so naive. I think there's such a good thing. He asked for the price to be paid. 25 service life, and it's controlled by your right eye. 10 good listening, then quiet thinking. After a while, he agreed to move the scene to the grave. Keep your hands out. In the palm of his hand appeared a gas martyr. Next, very quickly, that gas martyr has turned into a long spear. The Tran Hung people are still standing there, ready to fight at any time. The reason is to look at them laughing. I can't understand. Why did you choose death? Just to protect the clan of Cao Sheng. Even in this situation already. The customer replied, why? Rather than being the wrong person for you. Reason to keep your eyes narrowed. That's terrible self-respect. Then they disappear in place. The terrified passenger turned his head and shouted carefully. He was much faster than before. I have just finished talking about the king. He was killed with a blow to the head. His eyes didn't catch a cold. Look at the people who say, a monk. I saw my friend killed, then there were tears in the corners of the eyes. Guo Pine did not think much anymore to recite the mantra. The breath of lifetime like a river. The spell is over. There were countless thorns on him. Then he turned into a giant tree man. He was fearless, watching him laugh. Oh, it's terrible. With the power to achieve so, the cost must be huge. Let me guess, after using this, you will never be able to return to human form again. Don't you think Guo Peng didn't notice? If I can beat you. So what's that price worth? He didn't stand there looking at him. Stop fooling yourself. You know the difference between me and all of you now. If you listen to that, you'll be quiet very quickly. He raised his fist again. Even if it's just a little bit of a chance, I still want to try. There's no need to say anything. The reason for hearing that is contempt. It's true that insects are always wishful thinking. Then he went up to the medical school. Support a Kier punch of Guo Pine. Move the scene to the east. In the hands of 10 good now appeared a seed. Give it to me to explain. Suck it in and try to wake it up. This seed of hell will germinate in your body. And it will later cultivate into a sinful flower. Don't worry, use it whenever you want. You will be invincible. To what extent death cuts the connection between you and him. 10 good listening is not hesitant anymore. Swallowing down the seeds. You swallow the seed. Feng 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 on one side also laughed extremely happily. The seal around it is also dissolved. Everything is back to normal. You should be proud. Anyone who's ever used the seeds of hell, they will at least become kings of one country. even though none of them died peacefully. Haha, 10 people don't care. Swallowing down the seed immediately, the air is activated very fast on you. The blood never ceases to shine. Your right eye also turned red. Extremely ferocious. Head upstairs to regain your freedom. Immediately jump down screaming. Your big name is mine, haha. 10 good people don't notice it. You're still paying attention right now. Feel the fire burning in my crochet. Wait for the head to bite in front of you. Then you suddenly disappear. Again, when he appeared, a punch punched him in the eye. Then a stone flew it away. When I saw his face, I was afraid. Brother 10 turned his head and glanced at her. Then she smiled and rubbed her head. Don't think about it. Close your eyes. Until I say open it again, open it again. She was happy to hear her close her eyes. The rest of the flight heads outside looked 10 extremely incredible goodness. He's a SAO fighter. And at that speed, it's completely humbling. It was risky to take him down. I have to attack long range to wait for a chance. After thinking about it, he opened his mouth and condensed his power. In his mouth immediately appeared a blue sphere. Then shoot straight to 10. You quickly take the exam. Jump to the side dodge. At this point, you just blinded my eyes. Open your mouth and bite. 10 good. I turned around and saw that mouth bite in the back. You have no other way. I shouted for the city. Follow the sound of your voice. Everything around you is in the picture again. The sound of the wind also echoed. The price this time is to control your left little finger. 10 good people don't notice it. How long can you keep the state? Fengking light leisurely replied 10 puffs. On the side of the grave, Guo Pine is still relentlessly attacking the spirit of. The monk glanced at Tran Hung and asked, how much gas do you have? Tran Hung did not hide anything. No more, but we can trade 25 lives. If you hear that, you can nod your head. We'll seal his movements. You only have one chance, don't forget. I was surprised to hear this at first, but very quickly understood. Ra nodded. Front fight. Circulation does not cause it at all any damage to the opponent. The reason for this is to look at the gap. Immediately jump up and down. A lance of half a tree man's face. Immediately cut to pieces. After cutting out this one trick, he despised it. It turns out to be empty. I thought it was strong. Turned out to be weak. Right now, 2 on his left and right. Suddenly, 2 giant hands appeared. He couldn't escape. He was captured by the monk's image. Guests are also quick to recite. The devil will listen to my orders. Resourceful reason to push out 2 hands, Kier yelled. They want to stop me with this. That's ridiculous. Look at me, follow his cry on you. The air never ceases to radiate, but how strong is his air? It's absorbed by the light on its head, and it gets there. He's angry right now. Biting your teeth is a god. It's not far away. Disciple of Guo Thin, they are constantly worshipping God. At this time, the statue is also broken and out of shape. See, this is also his last bit of power. 2 of my friends and guests right now. He also flew to the top once again. Tran Hung has returned to the state of magic. When a guest arrives, a hand appears. One hand covers the fire. The 2 of them didn't talk much, directly rushed to the developer. My last attack. Tran Hung is playing Ra 12 Paradise. The fire god of eternal destruction 9. There is no way to avoid this. I have to bite my teeth. Both sides of the VA hit a powerful explosion. Needle light glare. Absolutely nothing to see. On the other side, 10 breaths have passed. The head fell eyes again to regain consciousness. One of his other eyes was also blinded by 10. Asia, my eyes. My eyes see nothing. The other pilot saw this scene and screamed with fear. Are you kidding me? What the hell is going on? 10 people right now. An air of intense evil that never ceases to radiate. Kier's head kept flying around screaming. I didn't hear anything. Why can't we see anything like this? 10 good people raised their hands covered in fresh blood. Look at that then, the ferocious look at the other flying head. You're done. The next one is your turn. The pilot is already scared to the extreme. He doesn't dare mess around anymore. Immediately turn around and run out. The child is a monster. A normal martial artist can't be that strong. Even the 2 teachers. It doesn't make me feel that scary. The flying head is running. Then suddenly, there was a sound in my ear. You think you can escape. He looked back in fear. See only the back. It's a photo stream flying at lightning speed. Not waiting for him to react, 10 the good ones slammed it straight to the ground. 2 red-clothed guys are playing right now. One of the guys in there was startled. Is there something wrong? I didn't expect those martial artists to be so careful. They left one in the city. Do you need me to go there? Stop that guy. Even though he's strong, he's alone. The flying heads will take him down quickly. There's nothing to worry about. Even if he gets away. Just a few flying heads down. On the side of the grave, the battle was over. Wood people, Guo Pan. Half of his body was cut off, and he lay there. Full body fat monk. There's only one dry skeleton left. Romantic guest. 5 devils had their bodies cut into 2 pieces. Death without closing eyes. Whose disciples also had a sword. Heart next to God. Only Tran Hung is still alive. I'm standing in the face of rational. The current situation is also extremely tragic. The crossbow is strong. Look, he hasn't given up yet. Tran Hung, there are countless cracks on the body right now. He didn't open his mouth and just stood there, staring at the truth. I saw that look of him. I also have a little appreciation. You're quite similar to me. You're very resilient. He finished talking. Chen Hung's body suddenly cracked slowly, then completely disappeared in front of him. The reason for this is to hold your head and sigh. My men are all dead. You refuse to join me. They were all killed by me. I'm not like that. To destroy their descendants alone. He stood there, but didn't know that. The body in the back is next to the zombie. Now suddenly, there's a very small airflow going up. After a moment, he looked at the sky. Stop it. I'll take some of his descendants hostage first. Then talk to the rest of you later. When he finished, he immediately disappeared. A moment later, his arm suddenly moved. Then she opened her eyes and sat up. Fortunately, he's finally gone. These guys are really strong. They can hold the truth for such a long time. If there's more support from some martial arts masters, it can also seal the power of the Lichu down to about 10%. But unfortunately, it's too late. Next time up here, your brain will not be as weak as this time. Jiang Shan of the Macau, there is no more peace. Suddenly, she felt that something was wrong. Immediately turn your head and look. I can only see Tran Hung Kier's body disappearing. When it disappears to the feet, it stops. Her eyes squinted to look somewhere. Tran Hung is currently in a dilapidated palace. He looked around for a moment. It's hard to understand what's unusual. Stupid there. The man standing behind him said, "This is hell. You are in the territory, under the management of Pluto. I am not surprised that I am in hell. Because he knows.